But like I always want, like at home and at work, everything has to be super clean and organized. Otherwise, I can't function very well. I feel like the energy that I'm then giving off is like a chaotic energy. So yeah, that rundown has been like, if we don't have the same mentality over this, then I don't think it's gonna work out living together.
I
Because I
had to
know
give,
people would still like, no, they're gonna change, or
yeah,
they're gonna compromise. I'm like, no, it's not. That's not even the point. Like, if you guys don't agree with how you want to live your life, then it's gonna come up at some point.
exactly. I feel like I had to give my boyfriend a bigger rundown just because, like, I was his bartender for 4 years before we got together. But, like, the first bar that I worked at it was a very rough bar. Like, there was a dress code because there was so much gang violence in the area. So, like, we had a dress code. And I remember the first night that I started bartending, there was like this curse on the female bartenders. There was only one at night female bartender, and they kept getting pregnant, and then they couldn't work
Oh,
anymore. So then I got shoved into that position, and everyone joked, they're like, Jessica's gonna get pregnant, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But I remember the first night that I went to work, I had been a waitress already there for a year. I knew the environment, but I just never, the bartenders at that place had all of the authority. They were the ones who
mm.
kicked people out if they needed to. And the shifts that I was getting, it was just going to be me and a waitress. There was no doorman. There was no nothing. There was a
Oh.
broken pool stick that I would keep in the back. And I never used it, but it was just there to be like, I have a pointy stick, don't mess with me. But I had to have this kind of like air of like little G.I. Jane badass almost. So the rundown that I had to give for my boyfriend was like, listen, I'm an emotional wreck. I am very sensitive. I can't show any weakness at the bar because it was almost like prison at that place. It was a crazy dive bar, great money, but you earned every bit of it. And it was almost like what the guy told me when I first started my bartending shift was your balls drop tonight and this is prison. So once a week you just have to pick someone out that's messing up, that's breaking the rules, and you have to go off on them so everyone sees not to mess with you. So I got this,
Oh, I didn't even know
yeah,
that's what bartenders do.
there's been
Wow.
a few bars that I've worked at, especially like when I started getting into bodybuilding, because I started getting into bodybuilding like once we moved to Arizona. And so not having any friends or relationships there, when I started doing that, people became very intimidated by me. And
I would be too.
I've never had people scared of me, and it is so it's it's kind of a good feeling. I can't it's it's this kind of euphoric high, especially knowing myself, knowing I've never punched anybody. I never want to be in a fight. I don't think I do good in a fight, if I'm being honest. But just to like know that like walking through the bar, if somebody would like brush shoulders with me, to almost like to see them cower, I felt bad, but I also felt really good. I can't believe you're terrified of me. But you should be. Like
Bow
I
down
lean
now.
into it. The sensitive emotional part that I am like in 90% of my life, I'd be like, no, please don't cower. But then that 110% that's work Jessica is like, no, turn into that.
Yeah.
Let everyone see that they're scared.
Yeah, no, I think that you would need that kind of energy, especially in the service industry. And I can relate to it too, because if you if you project an energy where people can walk all over you, then they'll walk over you.
It's
And
that
like,
fine
to
line. Like
yeah,
you don't want people to be too scared, but you don't want people to not be scared at all.
yeah,
Like it's
because yeah, it's not gonna be good for you when you start believing that being nice and is, I mean, you're gonna be nice and respectful, but I've always been very assertive as well, because I mean, I learned my lesson. Like sometimes the people that you help, they're the ones that screw you over.
mm-hmm. I learned that a
So
lot with
yeah.
especially I have a soft spot for old people. I
Mm,
especially with like cleaning. That's why I left bartending to like start my own cleaning business before we moved. I have a big soft spot for old people, and that's because I don't plan on having kids. It's not because I
mm.
don't like kids. It's just I feel like my family picked up enough, and I don't want to put a tiny person through that. But so I have this soft spot for old people because I kind of think about it as like paying karma into the future. That like some
Oh,
nice young person will be nice to me when I'm an old wrinkly lady.
oh,
But at the bars, I would try and make sure like all the old people that would come in, because it became like a part of their routine, and they would come in and talk to you because they didn't really have anyone else to talk to.
mm,
But a lot of them would really take advantage of it, and like it hurts so much, like knowing like I tried to be so nice to this person and then they turned around and like
yeah,
tried to be creepy or like be weird, and I'm like,
yeah.
why?